Hello everybody, it's Kim and this is MindBody TV. Welcome. I'm a little late because we had a little internet debacle, but I'm going to wait a couple minutes for everyone to get in live and hopefully find where we are today. I'm going to share today about why it's so important to say yes to your yes. And what is that inner yes is like that inner light, that inner spark, that inner inspiration. And our inner inspiration is very different from motivation, which comes from the mind and fear and trying to get control and all the conclusions about what we think is supposed to happen or what we think we need to do. But as we follow motivation, you'll see whether it's motivation like, oh, I should eat better, or motivation, I should work out more, or I should do my business this way. It won't be self-sustaining, meaning the more you do it, the more depleted you are, the more willpower you need, the more depleted you are, because it's not the same as inspiration. And so I'm going to share a little bit about what that difference is, what your inner yes really is, which is your inspiration, and how saying yes, even when we have fear or we're uncertain, really opens up so many more possibilities. So hello everyone who's listening live and tuning in. Hi Tiffany. Hello Maura and Nicole. And I want to hear where people are tuning in from. I always really am interested in that, especially because we've got people from all over the world and it's always really exciting. Let me try to stabilize my camera. Okay, so hey, Allie. All right. So what is that difference between inspiration and motivation? Now you'll feel it in your body. You'll feel the difference between the, oh, I really should do this thing, or, oh, I got to be motivated because, whatever we think needs to happen, or especially with, like how we eat or take care of ourselves and this whole like self-care thing. It can come a lot of times from motivation, and then it just it exhausts us because the more energy we put into it, it's not that it gives us more and gives us more. It's always temporary. So it will deplete us. So if we get out of the mind and into the heart, that's where we connect with inspiration. Motivation is like a means to an end. So if you're in that space where you're like, oh no, this is my inner voice and I know this is what I got to do, but you're actually in conclusions about what you think or what you've been told or what you think you should do, it will temporarily feel sort of good. It'll be a relief from fear. You're like, I'm motivated, or I'm doing this thing. So what you want to do is look beneath that. Okay, why am I doing this thing? I got to eat this way. And so then, my body's going to be fit. And then I'm going to have this desired outcome. So what is that desired outcome? Maybe it's freedom. Maybe it's love, harmony, vitality. These are all the things that can come when we really take care of our body. We have more harmony, we feel better. And so then go back to that motivation and just look, is this harmony for me? Does it feel in harmony to have this rigid workout schedule or restrictive diet or do these systems in my business and plug away? You'll feel the more you practice awareness, and that's what the instant elevation is really all about, is being connected to what's happening in here, connected to awareness. You will feel the frequency of it. Is this harmony? Is this freedom? And so it's a matter of am I choosing this choice because this choice feels free and this choice feels harmonic? It's, this is harmony. I'm going to do this. Or am I choosing it because I think it's going to get me some harmony or freedom or love or blah, 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 fill in the blank. Abundance. Or if I put these systems in my business and I work really hard, then, I'm going to make so much more money and then my life's going to be more abundant. I just had this come up a couple weeks ago when I was evaluating this particular program and looking into creating different systems to scale what I'm doing in my business. And it made a ton of sense. This will scale, my business. And then there's 5 times more coming in each month or 10 times more, you can move forward. And it did, from my mind, it definitely seemed like a good idea. But when I looked at what does this, engaging in this, creating this, implementing this, being a part of this program, what does that create for me? It was not abundance. It was not, oh yeah, I want to do this program. I want to work with this team. It was like, it was a feeling of like, I should do this. It'll be good. It was a feeling of urgency. And that is totally not going to create harmony, abundance, expansion, love, the things that you would want to have more income for. So you want to always look at that end result. It was really clear for me because even like considering it felt like really revved up and really like disruptive. So when I looked at like, okay, what if I'm like, I put that over there? I can always consider that later. But right now, that's not the energy I'm in. Immediately, my life felt more abundant, more serene, more flow, more appreciation. Like, oh, this is the life I want to be living. That didn't include that, that whole thing. So it isn't necessarily like what the mind thinks is going to create more, because why does more money coming in, why do we think that's abundance? We think it's going to get us prosperity and more freedom and, fill in the blank. But if the choice itself does not resonate at that frequency, it is not your inspiration, it is not your yes. So always like tuning in. So this first thing I wanted to talk about here was tuning into your yes. Hello, Rachel, Kate, Coralie. I've got Mary from Bend, Oregon. I've always wanted to go there because I know it sounds a lot like what we've got here in Durango. We just had a huge storm last night and my internet was out. Melanie, Norma, Jessica, Jen from Marblehead, Mass. Woohoo! Hi, Randy. It's always good to see you here. All right, so is this resonating? I want to kind of feel into. Mara says this is awesome already. Let me just scroll through these. BC, Canada. I love going out there to ski. Hello from Columbus. Hello, Cassie. Okay, so saying yes to your yes. So that's the biggest, most important piece about inspiration versus motivation. Inspiration is your wisdom communicating with you. You feel it here in your chest where your heart is. You'll feel it in this area. It's not going to be just what's going on in your head. Hey, Crystal and Eva. Melanie says, you've talked about just being ourselves, showing up, and abundance comes in. I had my teeth cleaned this morning and came away with my hygienist booking an appointment with me. Easy flow. So sometimes you can let a lot more flow in, and that's what we're going to talk about with following your yes. So what is synchronicity? Synchronicity is like the right place at the right time, or you think of a person, you're like, oh, I got to figure out how to call that person, and then they call you. Or you feel into, like I was sharing today in the Awakened Practitioner Collaborative with a person who's wanting to like set up automated systems for passive income, to expand her income, to create something that is going to be a legacy. But there were some pieces where there was like, well, how do I do that? Not totally clear. And so the point is, when we're wanting to create anything, we've got to be the essence of what that is. So the first step, and this is what I was talking about with inspiration versus motivation, you've got to connect with what is the essence of that outcome. Is it prosperity? Is it joy? Is it love? Is it, whatever that is, because there's a reason you're wanting these things. And so without needing to be attached to those, what is the end result? What is the essence of it? And then cultivate that. That is always the first step. That's the most important thing, because if you don't do that, what you create will not be in that frequency. So you might make more money or create an awesome business or find a new partner, but it'll just be more struggle. It will just be more stuff to do. It won't actually be a match, because the frequency you're in is the same. It hasn't changed. So especially with healing the body, you're like, I have an autoimmune disease, or I have chronic pain. And it's like, I just want to get out of pain. So instead of focusing on escaping pain, we have to cultivate ease, for example. So you could start by like being easier on yourself. I know that was huge for me when I had this, autoimmune disease, and I was like really hard on myself to find a solution, to make it better, to get over the, mind over body. What am I holding that's keeping this in place? I got to do it. I was really hard on myself. So I wasn't cultivating or choosing the ease that was a match for what I was asking for. Maura says, yes. How do I know if sometimes just getting started is hard, but then it gets easy? Yeah, because getting into that new frequency, you do have to overcome resistance. And so she's saying, like, starting back into yoga or running or starting a new business. So this is a great question. Overcoming resistance is different than the push of getting motivated. And this is such a great question because sometimes it kind of feels like it's the same. So go back into your heart and start first with, what do I want to create? Do we have a little fairy in our background here? Hello? All right, here, like that. Okay, so what is that? What is the frequency of that? So you're like, all right, I want to feel inspired and I feel joyful and I want to receive abundance. I want to feel fluid in my body. And you're like, maybe I should go out for a run. And you can even try it, but you have to anchor in even just 2% more of what that energy, the essence of it is first. Then you're like, okay, go for a run. Does this resonate with creating that joy, freedom, true inspiration, and prosperity? And you'll feel it immediately. It'll be like, no, slow down, walk. Or yeah, this soaring and running and go through it and overcome the resistance of the sluggishness and know you can and move forward, and there's the run. But it will feel a totally different energy than, oh, I really should run because then I'm going to feel so much better. And you're resisting something, you're trying to escape something. I don't want to feel all this sluggishness and I got to get somewhere with my life. I got to move forward. So you run out of motivation, or you create a business out of motivation. It will always deplete you. It won't feel the same level of inspiration. So you can even ask, like, okay, here's this outcome of my yes, to feel joyful, to feel free, to be abundant, to know everything comes to me in grace and ease as I honor myself. And then there's like going for a run or making a phone call or starting a business or writing a blog, or you could fill in the blank. It's endless. And you just want to feel, is that a match to the essence of this? Now for me, that like integration of like spending 10 seconds with it first before trying to go and trying to, create it, which is always just an escape. When I spend some time with the joy that I'm ready to receive, all the stuff that's not aligned with that will come up first. So there's a recalibration that happens. That's like the first thing. As I choose more joy, it's like, well, are you ready to stop giving yourself a beat down? Are you ready to stop running and chasing because you feel inadequate? Are you ready to stop holding hardness because you feel threatened and you're protecting yourself? So a lot of those will come first. So that's why it's important in that step 1. Take 10 breaths to cultivate the essence of what you're asking for. And so you'll feel the difference between inspiration and motivation with tuning into your yes. Is this an authentic, organic, not the end goal, but the means goal? Yes. And it will feel completely different. Hey, Cheryl and Jim. Okay, hold on a sec. I'm doing this on my phone today, so it's a little shaky. Hey, Joan. Okay, so Mara, I hope that was helpful. When you do cultivate that essence of that, the energy of what you're wanting to bring in, like what is the desired end result, you can't not create it with your actions, with your voice, with your choices. Cheryl says, much love for your transmissions. Thank you. Hello, Victoria. Okay, so the second piece, so saying yes to your yes, is like, am I willing to choose this? So for me, with that business choice, part of me was like, oh, no, I shouldn't say no to this opportunity. Like, I should engage and I shouldn't shy away from it. But when I felt into, does this create abundance for me? Does this feel fluid? It was like, it was really discordant. And so I let it go. So you've got to be willing to take the choice. So a lot of people have been asking recently about the Embracing Health program. Oh, this is totally resonating for me. This sounds amazing, and I would love to work with you this way. Oh, I don't know if I can make the commitment. Oh, I don't know if I have the money. Oh, I don't know if this is for me. And then the mind will come in like, well, maybe this isn't the one I need. Maybe it's something else that I need. Listen to the yes and be willing to choose, even if you don't know how, even if there's doubt. So it's a matter of, do I want to follow my inspiration or do I want to follow my doubt? You will get the result for the choice that you make. You're going to get more doubt and fear and lack, or you're going to create more abundance and more freedom. So it's always about resonance. So when there is that inner yes, choose it. When people choose a program with me, when it resonates for them, it immediately begins creating in their system. Every cell is listening. So if you're like, oh, I've got to go out for that run, I've got to do this, but you're actually in escape, it's going to pattern your nervous system to the fear and lack pattern. What you perceive, what occurs, what happens in your life, what possibilities are available. Likewise, when you choose, according to a private program with me, she's like, I know this is what will create the most for me. And she's like, I don't know how I'm going to pay for it. I don't know how this is going to work. But she knew it was resonating. So she signed up for the first month and let it happen. And it immediately felt so much lighter because her system knew, I'm no longer listening and choosing from fear. I'm now, for the first time, choosing in courage, choosing to receive, choosing in abundance. So it will immediately create something different and you'll feel it. The more aware you are, the more you'll feel it, the more you'll register it, and the more you'll start to notice what's happening. So synchronicities will show up when you are in a higher state of fluidity. When you choose what is that inspiration versus choosing from fear or lack, which is motivation. Completely different. So I want to invite you to feel into first whatever that inspired calling is, because if it's not like this big major change, it's just what will create more for me today, what will create expansion in my health, in my body, in my life, in my relationships, in my money. It could be anything, it could be general. What will create the most expansion for me? And then when you get up in the morning, or do it right now, if you're listening to the podcast or watching live or listening to the recording, take 10 breaths, pause this, put it in here. Feel what's happening in here. And then we'll take a few breaths right now to just let that come up. Hey, you're supposed to read them. Well, you got it. Here, the pictures. Let yourself resonate. Here, there was a little break. Let yourself bring that in. Sit with it. This can be really hard because it actually brings up all the stuff you've been busy suppressing. Let it come up. As it's coming up, it's moving out. So commit to that. Feel that. Breathe into freedom, abundance, love, flow. Breathe into the essence of that and let your body receive it. So you have to breathe over here, angel face, because it's a little bit distracting for mommy. So I got my daughter. You guys are right here on my hand. Okay. Let your body calibrate to that. Let your body begin to resonate with that. Like I said, it's going to move energy. It's going to have stuff come up that you're like, ah! And then the choice is there. Do I run back into suppression? Or do I just be in the ease and flow for 10 seconds and let a recalibration happen, let some energy release with breath? Then there will be more clarity. Even if it's just 10 breaths and it's 2% more clarity, it's enough to have you choose from a higher frequency. So there's more clarity of like, yeah, you know what? That really doesn't sit with me. Like I had to just take some stillness that day because I was really like, oh, this sounds like a great opportunity. But I was also aware there was some discord somewhere. How do I get more clarity? Be in more stillness. Be more in the essence of ease and flow and less in the mind and trying to figure it out. And that created unbelievable clarity really, really fast. And a conversation with my husband, it helped me get even more clarity. And it was like, oh yeah, I can't even believe I was thinking about this. Yeah, no, that's okay. We can let that go. If it's really an opportunity that's, aligned with my expansion, it will come back as I stay aligned with my expansion. Kathy says, these principles seem so simple, and they truly are simple. But why is it so challenging to apply them on a regular basis? What do you notice people are doing or thinking that gets in the way of more consistent success? And I would say more consistent expansion, because like success, sometimes there's a lot of ideas about that aren't what really success is. It's that we're in a field of energy with like other people or the collective consciousness or our society or, your mind's thoughts, beliefs. For me, it's taken a lot of slowing down and a commitment to cultivate that inspiration. Not just, when it comes, it comes. I guess I'll wait for it to hit me and my inner yes is going to come knocking on the door and I'll hear. It's really more of a matter of I will show up to let it be received. I will show up to make space for it. I will show up to cultivate the essence of that which I am wanting to create. So I do have this commitment that I am responsible for it, and I'm 100% responsible for it. It's no one else's fault. No one else is supposed to be giving it to me. It's 100% my responsibility. So I think that's one of the things is we're like passive about it, or we don't realize like, wow, I'm in this energy field that's not that. I've got to consciously cultivate a higher frequency of love and freedom in order to let something else be created. Randy says, this is so helpful and timely for me in my relationship that keeps being my yes to my heart, but brings up a lot in my mind and energies and my work where I struggle to stay in my yes and inspiration, and I fall back into motivation and overwhelm. Yes, so it's a practice. And that's one of the main reasons my new way of, when I do live retreats and how we're recreating what this work is that I'm doing, it's the yoga of self-healing. It's not just mind-body medicine. It's way more expansive. And it's a practice. It's not like, here's this thing, and you took a hit, and now you're set. It's a practice. It's integrating a new way of being. And it's not a practice like, oh, it's so hard, I got to practice again. Oh, my life is still hard, I got to practice. It's a practice that lets life be more fluid and more fluid and more fluid on this path to expansion. You are always going to be expanding. There's no getting there. The only thing for us to do is let the path be more fluid. So that's like the overwhelm is showing you like, wait, where am I holding resistance, tension, fear, the idea that I don't already have it, the idea I don't have enough, I have to do more. And where can I let that go to move back into ease? Rachel says, I do get inspired, but then my mind comes in and tries to talk me out of it, like self-sabotage. Yeah, that's why it's important to stay in awareness. Because the mind that will come in with doubt and fear, no, you can't have that. You can't afford it. You can't do that. And you're like, oh, am I going to follow doubt or am I going to follow my yes? Am I going to follow fear or am I going to choose my knowing, my wisdom, which is inspiration? So always be willing to like presence that and look. You won't know until you do. You won't know until you get that distinction, but you can get that distinction really clear. And like with the yoga of self-healing, it's quicker and it's quicker and it's quicker. It's clearer and it's clearer and it's clearer. It's a pathway. It's a way of being. So it doesn't matter that self-sabotage is there. It matters that you're aware. You're like, oh, that's the self-sabotage. All right, I don't need to listen to that. What else is possible? And then there'll be a higher choice available. Always, in every moment. She says, I think it came from years of low self-esteem and lack of confidence. I try and listen to my inner yes, but I feel like I'm battling my mind all the time. Do you just use the breath to create more stillness and let the doubts move through? I do. And I'll fill the breath all the way down to my belly and relax my shoulders. And then I'll let everything go and let the exhale happen. So let the breath release energy for you. You're like, I'm in the self-sabotage. Wait, maybe it's not self-sabotage. Maybe that's just smart and that's what I should do. It's always, that's still mind. So when you relax it and let breath come in, there'll be more clarity of wisdom. Wisdom doesn't come through the mind. You'll sense it, you'll feel it, and then it gets deciphered and interpreted, and you'll maybe hear it or have like that clarity, but it won't be the same frequency as fear. So that's a big one for me, that distinction of like doubt, because sometimes my awareness will be like, oh yeah, no, that's not the way to go. That's going to create more problems. But maybe I shouldn't do this. I don't know. Maybe I don't know what I'm doing. My wisdom will never, ever guide me through doubt, ever. My wisdom will never guide me through fear. That's why it's your yes. It'll be, yes, just stay home and go to bed and watch a movie. It won't be, oh, you really shouldn't go because you'll get sick and you'll burn out, so you should just stay home and watch a movie. It's like a totally different frequency. So is it inspired to do that action, or is it like fear, withholding, oh, I really should just like save my money and not make that investment because I shouldn't spend my money? Let that go. Be willing to choose your yes, and be willing to choose your yes unconditionally. And then you'll see what that creates. So get curious. Even in the first 10 seconds, like, okay, I'm going to choose this thing. Wow, a lot of fear came up, which is another big thing that happens for a lot of people when they join one of my programs. It's at a very different frequency from the one they've been choosing. And now they just chose into something higher. You've got to let that recalibration take place. But the difference is it will feel more freeing to let go and let that recalibration take place. It will not feel suppressive or doubt, or like as your fear comes up, you'll be aware, yeah, as I choose my freedom, this is all the fear that I was suppressing. I can let it release. You're not listening to that fear. It's not guiding the show. So it's not that like temporary relief, quick fix, like, oh, phew, now I feel better. I'm motivated. I'm on track. It will feel like an unconditional knowing, an unconditional alignment. When you follow your yes and choose accordingly, there'll be an unconditional depth of presence that happens because every cell in your body is listening. All right, I'm going to complete with that. The Embracing Health program is still getting going. It's available now. We have our first call in a couple of weeks at the start of December. So there'll be a lot of people starting at the same time as we go through like month 1, month 2, month 3. It's a year-long integration, and I'll be guiding you through with live calls each month. So our first call will be the first Thursday of each month. So December, we're starting. If this speaks to you, absolutely, you're welcome to join us. It's at drkimd.com/health. And there's more information on the page so you can see if this program speaks to you as a way to work with me more directly and integrate all this work. When I've done this in groups and they've come through to transmute these energies, you will be transmuting it with them through these audio recorded calls. So it'll really, really allow you to come through a massive integration and an increase in frequency over the course of the months. It's a 1-year program. Melanie says, it seems every time after the yes, the fear does come up. Yes, it always will. I made a choice to travel south with my sisters in February, and it felt like a big yes, and now the fears are coming. Yes, so those are all the things that, see, when you just follow them, you're like, oh, no, I really shouldn't do that. Okay, I'll be a good girl and behave. Oh, no, I really shouldn't spend money on myself. I should spend it on other people. Okay, I'll be a good girl and behave. They won't come up as long as you're complying. They're only going to come up and scream at you when you're like, wait a minute, what if I can do anything? What if I can let that go and allow more possibilities and like, yeah, travel the world and yeah, go with my sister? And they're like, no, you shouldn't do it. They're going to get louder. Like, we've got to control her. She's getting out of control. So what you can do, skin on skin, because these are programs you put in place. You agreed to them on some level subconsciously. So just let your body know, body, you can release those old conclusions. It's okay for us to live in freedom. So you can touch your arm, your hand on your arm. Anywhere that's skin on skin is going to allow the fear to release. Cortisol and stress hormones go down, oxytocin, endorphins go up, and your body's like, ooh, really? Okay. Your body's gonna feel more light and resilient and yes, have better health with this new frequency, but you've got to let it know it's okay to rewrite the program. So there's that. There's also just the consciously putting your hand on your heart. This is a lot of what we do in the calls too, are these repatterning, like letting your system come into that higher upgrade so that physically your body releases the cellular memories. This is a big part of embracing health. Like you've consciously come into the awareness, whoa, yeah, I can choose to let myself have it. It's okay. But to let your body physically release those cellular memories, your thyroid gland to come into a healthy balance, your adrenal glands to get out of like overwork, overrun, push, and come into resilient harmony. That's a different thing altogether. You've got to be the one to assist that expansion. So letting your body knows how to do it, to release these cellular memories, but just doing some of the simple things. And they're in the Embracing Health program. There's a online piece called MindBody Mastery with really beautiful, very simple tools that you can use to do that. And that will allow you to really let that complete. You're choosing yes, and then it's like, she says, I need to meet those fears and let them move through. It's not comfortable. So that will really assist the recalibration. Lena says, what if something feels like a yes and then a week later, and then a no a week later? How do you know if you chose from a right place? So if you're in your awareness, there's moment to moment. I had a friend today who's like, all my astrologers were telling me I should move, I should sell my house, I should do this. But it really didn't feel right to me. And then later they're like, no, don't move, don't sell your house. So I shared with her, like, only you have a moment to moment update of what really creates the most in the now, right now. So yeah, maybe you're ready to move once you cultivate a deeper sense of self and like life guides you to, California or somewhere else. But if that's not where you are in this 10 seconds, like it's irrelevant. You're only where you are now. So you don't need to do it from the mind. If you're in presence, you can know. I chose recently to do this women's 5-day backcountry hut-to-hut ski tour in February. And when I first heard about it, it was like, oh my gosh, yes. And then it was like, wait a minute, let me make sure. Am I doing too many things? I got a whole bunch of things planned next year. And is it going to be overloaded? But I knew that was doubt. So it was like, it's okay. I can look at that. But I was already feeling into this high frequency. And so I wanted to look and kind of compare, like I've got my children, I've got my work, I've got, my marriage, my husband and what we're doing. So I was like, all right, let me just get more clarity. And so you just take it right here to your heart. Will this contribute to me in all the ways that are most important and essential for me? What will this create in my life? And I felt this like really beautiful high frequency. So I let myself choose it. And it felt incredible as soon as I hit the button, the purchase button, and completed it. Like, yeah, this is in place. And now everything in the universe is revolving around that choice. That's on the calendar. That's in place. Now, sometimes you do something and then maybe something changes and you're like, oh, okay, great example. A few years ago, I did the same thing. I chose this women's Powder Quest tour in Chile, hiking, climbing, way up in the backcountry. And I found out a month later, it's like maybe 2 months later, I'm fully packed. I had new powder skis. I had new avalanche equipment. I'm like all set. I found out 2 months later, I'm pregnant. So even though it felt expansive to choose it, and it was expansive to choose it, because choosing it let my body know, like, I hear your inspiration and I'm on board and yes. But now I'm pregnant. So it was like, okay, more information. Is this still resonating for me? And it took me a minute to like, wait, what do I do? Should I still do it? And, that was not the choice for me. It was like, no, let's let this go. But it was still an expansive thing just to choose it and getting ready and all of that. So don't make it wrong if new information comes in and you make a new choice. But let that new choice, that quote unquote rearrangement or renegotiation place. Because what happens is we'll choose and then the fear comes in. You're like, no. Okay, I'm gonna back out. And then you let the renegotiation come from fear. But you think it's good because you're like, oh, now I don't feel my fear. I feel better. I feel good. I'm gonna keep that money, or I'm not gonna have that commitment. Okay, now I feel better. But it's temporary. So when you do a renegotiation, always make sure it comes from an even deeper space of awareness and an even deeper space of inspiration. Okay. Diogo, hello from Brazil. How can I be free of anxiety? There's a lot that I've shared in other MindBody TV broadcasts, and I do have the MindBody Solution for Anxiety program. You can take a look at that. Even just the page could give you some awareness of like, oh, I get what's going on now, whether you do the program or not. Even just the language that's on the page and the invitation that it is can assist you in releasing the chronic pattern of anxiety and choosing beyond it. So that's at drkimd.com/anxiety. It's a 4-week integration. Kathy says, I love the broadcast. You're such a cheerleader for us. Thank you. And hello to Joyce. Marit says, I did the Mind Your Body course. It triggered me a lot with all my fixing and thinking myself sick and law of attraction, etc. You didn't teach any of that, but the program was too triggering. Is the Embracing Health a better fit? So even if you've just approached it and it's like, wow, okay, what's come up? Just take that one bite. You don't have to do the whole thing, like that one bite. Or yes, in Embracing Health, there are integration calls. Like it will guide you through that completion. And because you're guided with a little bit more live contact, it might be a good choice. But don't make it wrong, because all the stuff that released is what you were holding that was preventing health. So just let yourself breathe through that. Like, oh yeah, all these fears. And just take a whole week to just take 20 minutes a day to breathe that. Let the course assist you. Let it serve you. Let it contribute to you. Don't run away from it and think, this is too much, and see yourself small. I can't handle it. I'm incapable. It's too much. I got to shut it down. Let me do the next thing. Be with it. Say yes. Yes, this is exactly what's ready to release. And instead of, I can't do this, where can I find the strength to move through this and let it complete? Because it will complete. How does the Embracing Health support this compared to the Mind Your Body? Hope it's okay I'm asking. Thank you for any input and guidance. The fixing is tearing me down and triggering deterioration, panic attacks. No fun. So when you're using something to try to escape pain or fear, this work that I'm doing is not going to be able to do that. This is not to help you escape so you can stay small but not notice. So you can stay small, but it won't hurt so much. So you can stay in lack, but, be more comfortable with it. This work is definitely about expansion. And the Embracing Health is an integration in through that. And the calls guide you, because each person, that's what happened for them in the live call, which is recorded. But in that call was everything coming up. And then we go through the calibration to unwind that and allow the energy to move. So you can feel that out if that really speaks to you, that will be more harmonic for you. It was for each person on the call a completion. Not just information, but actually an integration into something higher. So for all of you who come through the Embracing Health program, even just in the first month, there's 2 calls a month, it's a major shift to assist your body physically, mentally, emotionally in releasing these old spaces you've been functioning from. But because each caller on there was live and like asking the question, I could feel into their energy of like exactly what was coming up, and then assist the harmonization of that. And so it will bring you through that as well. She says, yes, I want to meet the pain and be with it, accept it and judge it, and not judge it or even try. We'll start that now. She says, thank you. This brought tears to my eyes. Sometimes we really don't see how we are really making ourselves small. And because we're in fear, we believe it, that we can't. And it's not true. It's never true. You have the ability to allow expansion beyond anything you've ever imagined. And so begin in small and big ways. I'd love to hear from you in the MindBody community this week to choose your yes and see what that creates, and let me know. Marie says, I'm done with escaping and fixing. Melissa, how will that be different from us not being live on the call? So most of the people on the call were listening, and then some people would come in live. The integration applied to everyone. So when you as a listener go through, you'll hear the frequencies in that person's voice, and they'll immediately, subconsciously, unconsciously bring up and resonate with those same energies if you have held that fear, lack, self self-sabotage, anything, even if it's a different circumstance, the energies are the same. So it will come up for you and you'll feel it with them. And then through the integration that I'll guide you through as you're listening, it will assist the release and dissipation of those energies that you've held, those energies in you. So you're moving through the integration, not away from your fear. So any other questions on that, you can just email us at support@drkimd.com. Most of the people who've come through, we're listening to the other, the callers. They be on live or they listen to the recording, but have a really, really powerful expansion and experience because of it's energy moving, and it will apply to you and what you're witnessing in your body, and then going through that harmonization we do in each call with each person to specifically allow those energies to release. All right. And Melissa says, okay, thank you. All right. Any other questions, you can just email us at support@drkimd.com. We'll be here live again each week on Wednesday morning at 11 a.m. Mountain. And I look forward to connecting with you more fully. Lots of love. If you're not subscribed, you can subscribe at drkimd.com. There's a quiz on the front end that will guide you through a little more of like clarity on what is coming up for you and how you can move through it. If you've had any kind of illness or anxiety or depression or just experiencing lack and not the expansion and abundance, and it will guide you through some steps to move through your life more fluidly because, as I mentioned, it's the yoga of self-healing. It's you coming back into unity with who you really are. And it's a practice. It's a way of being so that expanding forward through life is fluid and beautiful. And life can become more and more joyful. All right, lots of love. Moses says, yay, I'm so excited. All right, everyone. I will continue to share from here and be in my own expansion so that I can hold the space more and more fully for others who are part of this journey with me. Lots of love. You want to say goodbye? Okay. Bye.